Coming up on the Rawder Kidula Show.
Stop for a few minutes and she tells me, please come to hospital and don't come alone. So I'm like, has anything happened? She's like, no, you just come. We'll tell you what it is we want when we get there. I don't know what she's told me. I just started walking. So you know where the bed is. So I walked straight because he was at the end of the ICU in a room. And you know, when I just got there, all the machines were straight. In your mind, you still can't recollect. So I actually entered inside and I started talking to him. Then I touched him. I'm like, okay, he's still warm because I think he had just died, so he's still warm. Then I realized, so I touch him, I look at the machines, and I actually realize, hey, this guy is gone.
This is the Rawder Kidula Show.
Hi there and welcome to the Rawder Kidula Show. We are so happy that these conversations are going on. Conversations surrounding family and relationships and marriage. So my name is Rawder Kidula Kedaha. Happily married to one Jackson Kedaha, and I am honored to be doing this. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing to this channel and even watching previous episodes. So today, I have a friend of mine here. Her name is Jackie. She'll tell us about herself, but I have to tell you how I met her. So I met Jackie in Sitam Buruburu. I think it was in 2019, not sure, but I was there to talk to single parents, right? Yeah, single parents. And that is where I met her. Then she told me about what she does, about her ministry, and that is why she's here to talk to us about what she does. But first, we'll also learn who she is, her story. So introduce yourself, tafadhali.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Chessa. I am a widow. I have been a widow for the last 12 years. I am a mother of two boys, one aged 21, and my baby is aged, okay, he didn't let me call him baby, but I call him baby. My baby is aged 17. Yeah, finishing high school, and that is one of the most exciting things. When I lost my husband, my firstborn was 9 years, and the young one was 5 years. And also run a ministry called The Nain Woman, where we empower families one widow at a time. Wow. Yes.
And you'll actually tell us more about that, The Nain Woman.
Yes.
But first, I'd like to know about your marriage. How was it like?
Okay, I was married for 10 years before my husband died.
Yeah.
And my husband had been, actually most of our married life, he had been sick. For those 10 years, I keep saying I cannot remember a year where we didn't sleep in hospital. Yeah, but he was terminally ill. Yeah, so we were in and out of hospital, the better part of the marriage. But otherwise, all other things considered, it was just a normal marriage like any other. Yeah, when he's not sick, you're running around bringing up boys. Yeah. So it was just the normal kind of stuff. A normal family. Yeah, with our two boys. Yeah, and I guess we were just both fun people.
He was fun like you.
Yeah, we are one of those. Yeah, and also during that period, I was in school when my kids were very young. And I must say he was very supportive. Because I remember he's the one, now, you know, that you go home to make sure the kids are okay. Now he's the one who would go home, make sure the kids have had dinner, they've done homework and stuff like that. Then he would come and pick me in school. Yeah, that's basically our life. Because I know there's a friend of mine who used to joke, when you come to my house, it's my husband who's concentrating on the guests. Me, I'm just there sitting.
Sitting with them.
Yeah, me, I'm sitting with the guests. He's the one who's making sure everyone has eaten, the food has come out of the kitchen. And one thing I must also say, he used to be very good at making chapels. Okay, that's one thing we miss. Because, when I had visitors, we didn't even know how the kitchen looks like.
Wow.
Already had somebody to do that for me. Yeah.
So which year did he pass on?
He passed on in 2011, March 6th.
Take us through that experience for you.
I don't know, it was a really difficult experience. As I tell you, in the 10 years that we were married, he was in and out of hospital most of the time. So I remember this, he'd been actually, 2011, my husband was a lawyer, but in 2011, he never went back to work. Actually, when we started the year, because 2010 December, he had been admitted, I think, for about a week. Then he came back home, he was very weak. So he couldn't go back to work again. So he basically was at home that year. I would go to work. I would I would do life. So the January we stayed, we used to go to the doctor. I think we were going to the doctor weekly. Okay, we used to go to the doctor regularly just to make sure they're checking on him. Is he fine? So we stayed home in January. We stayed home part of February, I think around mid-February. Then I went home one evening. I remember so well, it was a Friday, and I was told, hey, today he's really been sick, he's struggled, he's not eating. Hey, so now this is not somebody you can take care of at home.
Yeah.
So on Saturday morning, I woke up, I told him, now we have to go to hospital. And definitely I knew it was an admission.
Yes.
There were no two ways about it. So on Saturday morning, we wake up, we prepare him, because at that particular time, now in January, his mom moved in with us and his younger bro. Because you couldn't do it alone because you're going to work, you have small children. Okay, even the house help, it's too much.
It's too much, yeah.
Because I'm not there the whole day, so I have to come in now at night to take. So at least they came in.
To help.
To help. So that Saturday morning, I remember I woke up, we prepared him. Because he was so weak, he couldn't even sit in front, so we put him in the back seat, he slept. And then now me and his brother are the ones who are going. And that time I remember I was working in Upper Hill. So where I used to work, you had to get a letter of undertaking from the employer.
Yeah.
I remember I'd called a friend of mine. I told her we are coming. So she got me the letter, got everything ready. So I just went to work. I got there. I told her, by the time I'm in the parking, just bring the letter. So she came. She brought the letter. From there, we went to hospital. And when I got to hospital, this is something I keep telling every time I tell my story, because still today I find it so weird. I actually got to hospital. I have driven all the way from Donholm.
It's just you and him.
Me and his brother, and now we are three in the car, and his bro couldn't drive.
Yeah.
So imagine I have driven all the way from Donholm to Upper Hill to the hospital in Parklands.
Yes.
But I get to Parklands, I think the watchman, just, the way you enter hospital and he looks back and he sees this guy. So he runs in to the emergency and tells the nurses, and they walk. Everybody now is running around, stretchers, the hospital.
Yes.
It's just pandemonium everywhere. I get to hospital, they remove him, so they tell me, you park the car and you come in. Do you know I couldn't park the car? I have driven all that way, but I can't. I just could not park the car. And I remember so well, I keep saying this guy was an angel, because I didn't even have a look at him. He had a big car. It was a Pajero, a Prado, or something. So the guy tells me, my car can't enter in that space. Please go and park.
Yeah.
I told him, no, my car can't fit. The guy looks at me like, really? Your car is smaller than mine.
Yeah.
So just look, and the watch came, he had the conversation. I think he told him something. So he just asked me, do you mind if I park your car? I was like, no. So he came in and he parked for me the car, gave him my keys, entered his car, and he drove off. So I just went back. So I went into the emergency room. I found they had put him in a room alone. And the way hospitals, sometimes it's so intimidating. You don't know what's going on. And then one doctor comes in, they look, and they go out, they call another doctor, then another doctor. I think like 6 doctors kept coming, and nobody's talking to you. So I'm asking, what's wrong? Nobody's telling me anything.
Is your husband talking at that point?
He's talking, but he's very weak.
Okay.
So you're just seeing the machine there, they're doing tests, you don't know what's going on. You're asking, nobody's talking to you. Then the only thing they told me, they're waiting for the consultant, because you used to see a consultant.
Yeah.
So they were like, we this is what we are doing, but the consultant has to come and tell us what to do. So we kept going in and out. So me, I'm just sitting there, I'm waiting. I don't know. So I go out, I'm making phone calls, because even you don't know what to do. So I'm there calling my friend, I'm calling my mom, I'm calling my auntie. So eventually the consultant came and had a look. And she told me, no, this is a case of admission, which I already knew was admission, So that's how the journey began. Then he got admitted. And that began 3 weeks of my life. As in, I used to literally live in hospital. Until
how
now.
are the boys taking it? Have you talked to them about what's going on? Because now one is 9.
I'd talked to them, and also they could see. You come home from school, you find daddy just in bed, because sometimes if he was able, he would come downstairs, but basically, like, I think the whole of February, I don't think he ever stepped down. He didn't even have that energy. Now when he was stepping down is the time we were taking him to hospital. So the kids would come home, just go to the room, sit with him, tell him how school was, but then he was talking, but he was very, very weak. Even the time in hospital, He was just talking and we were having a conversation. We were even joking, laughing. Oh, when you come out of hospital, you do ABCD. You know that you've given me a scare.
Yeah.
Little did I know we were not coming out of hospital. Ever. Yeah.
So how long was he admitted?
He was admitted for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
But the last week he spent in a coma. Yeah, and he was in ICU.
Oh.
So the first 2 weeks were fine. We'd go in, talk, blah, blah, blah. But the last week, I would just go in because, you're told when somebody's in a coma,
they can hear you.
So just go in, tell him how we are doing, what the boys are saying. Sometimes I would even just call the kids when I'm at home, put them on speakerphone. Yeah, and they would just talk.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was our journey. Though I keep saying one of the strangest things that happened, but I believe it was God. A week before he passed on, I actually just called the kids and I told them, sometimes people go to hospital and they don't come back, they don't recover. Just trying to explain it to them at their age. And I remember my firstborn really cried and he was asking me, Mommy, is Dad dead? I'm like, no, Dad is not dead. We've been praying and God answers prayer, but we don't know how God will answer this prayer. Yeah, so I guess also that helped a bit.
Yeah.
Well, by the time he was dying, he was psychologically prepared. Because anyway, I'd had a long conversation with a doctor. His doctor had long conversations with doctors who are friends of the family. So you're kind of prepared psychologically.
Yeah.
But being a believer, there's still faith.
Yeah, there's hope.
Yeah, we pray and... Yeah, and until God says it's over, it's never over. So we were at that point where we know, okay, fine. It could go either way, but we are hanging on to God.
So, were you present when he died?
I was actually not present. He died, I think he died in the morning. Because I remember the bill had skyrocketed. It was so much. We had exhausted our medical. Those ones now, you're just living on God. Whatever happens here, it's God who will sort us out. No one else can sort us out. So I remember that Saturday, we had a fundraising to at least offset part of the bill. And I remember that day when I went on Friday, I told him, we're having a fundraising on Saturday, I'll not come. But when I woke up on Saturday, okay, let me go back a bit. On Friday evening, I went home and immediately I got to the house. I remember I called a friend of mine and I told her, I don't know how I'm feeling. But this weekend, I'm bringing my kids to you, please. So she asked me, how are you feeling? I just told her, I have a feeling. I really can't explain what I'm feeling. But I don't think the kids should be at home. And we are very close with her. Her house is just always open. Even if it was midnight and they just decided, now Mrs. Ika and our Toto,
you will take them. Yeah.
So I told her, let me bring the kids to your house. I'll do it in the morning. So come Saturday morning, I actually just took my kids. I dressed them, nini, packed for the kids. Told the girl, you can go off. Since the children are not there, my husband is not here, we don't need you anymore. Whatever we want to do, we can be able to do it ourselves. So in the morning, I dropped my kids to my friend's place, then I left. I think that day we had errands to run. I had books to buy, those just school stuff. So I did school stuff. Then I was like, the fundraising I remember was to begin at 2. Then I just, at 1 o'clock, when I'm about to go, something tells me, no, you have to go to hospital. And I'm like, no, but I said I wasn't going to go today. But it couldn't leave me. So I decided to go to hospital. And actually went to hospital and I spent time with him. As usual, he's in a coma, so I'm the one who's talking. So I did my talking, and I finished. And I really thank God that I went. Because that's the last time I saw him alive. So hadn't I gone, the last time I would have seen him alive would have been on Friday evening. Yeah. So that was it, because everyone is calling me, where are you? We're already here, we're waiting for you. And I'm just like, I'm in hospital. Yeah, so we went, as usual, I had the conversation. He didn't answer, but I told him whatever I was saying. And then we came back. But also the interesting thing when he could talk, I think that year, kept telling me, if something happens and I don't make it, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to take care of the boys. We had those conversations. They were really difficult, and I never wanted to hear them. So tell him, why are you telling me this? See, we are praying. Yeah, but I'm also glad, as much as I didn't want to hear them, they happened.
At least, you talked about it. So you tell me about the call. I assume they called you now.
Yeah, when you stay in hospital for too long, you actually have a rapport with everyone. From the gate, the scary. And then, me, my personal, I talk to everyone. There's no way I can pass you and not talk. So I just, when I'm entering hospital, I come greeting everyone, even if it's not visiting time. Mama umekuja, you'll be allowed to enter. So I remember even the nurses in the ICU had my number. So I had told them in case of anything
just
let
let
call
me know.
me. So I remember we had the fundraiser on Saturday. So Sunday, it's a church day. So that day I'd said I wouldn't go to church. So we were having a meeting with his family. So I woke up that day because now I've already released my house girl because I told her, hey, you've worked, just go. So my house help had left. So
the boys are at your friend's place.
Yeah, the boys are my friend's place. So I'm the one who's there because I remember that time my sister-in-law used to work in Mombasa. She had come. My mother-in-law was there. Who else was there? My brother-in-law was there. My father-in-law was around, but he wasn't in my house. He had spent the night, I think, at the brother's place or something. So I woke up in the morning. So I made breakfast because actually the meeting was supposed to come to be in my house. So I just woke up that morning. I made breakfast and did everything. I prepared for them everything. Then I went upstairs to shower and to change so that by the time they come, I'm ready. So when I just finished showering, I've dressed. No, actually, I had dressed. I'd done everything. Now I'm going downstairs to have breakfast and wait for these guys. So my phone rings and I just see it's hospital. So they're like, so the nurse talks to me because it's a nurse I knew. She calls me, oh, how are you? Nini? We spoke for a few minutes and she tells me, please come to hospital and don't come alone. So I'm like, has anything happened? She's like, no, you just come. We'll tell you what it is we want when we get there. So I sat down and was like, normally you're never told. I mean,
not come alone.
So immediately I called my mom. But my mom was on her way to church, so she didn't pick the phone. So I called my mom's sister. So did my auntie pick? No, my auntie picked. And my auntie apparently says she didn't know why that day. She woke up to go to church, but she actually didn't go to church. And she's a member of Zitabika Road. So she just tells me that day for some reason
she didn't go to church.
You know the way you just zunguke in the house. You don't know what is keeping you, but you're not going. So when I called her, I told her. So immediately my auntie tries to call my mom. My mom is still not picking the phone. So I called. No, my auntie didn't pick the first time. Because I called her, I called my mom, she didn't pick. I called my auntie the first time, she didn't pick. So I called this friend who had my children. So I told her, hey, this is what the hospital has said. And now when I called my friend, her house manager was just going. So she told her, no, don't go. We have to go to hospital. So she told her husband, prepare quickly, we go to hospital. My friend also tries to call my auntie. My auntie still doesn't pick. So when my auntie comes, she's saying, hey, these are so many missed calls. So she calls me back, so I tell her. So she calls my mom doesn't pick up. She calls my cousin, now her daughter. Her daughter had just walked into church. She told her, I'm coming with a taxi, just come out of church immediately. Jackie has been called to hospital. So that's what happened. So my auntie quickly now mobilizes everything, all my relatives. She started calling people. So we actually got to hospital at about the same time.
The same time.
So now when we get to hospital, because your mind, this person was in ICU. So I go straight I'm just headed to the ICU. When I'm about to get to the ICU, the nurse, Nini, the nurse sees me and she stops me. So she asks me, are you alone? I'm like, no, I'm with somebody, but they're in the waiting room. So she's like, I don't know what she's told me. Me, I just started walking. So you know where the bed is. So I walked straight because he was at the end of the ICU in a room. And when I just got there, all the machines were straight. In your mind, you still can't recollect. So I actually entered inside and I started talking to him. Then I touched him. I'm like, okay, he's still warm because I think he had just died, so he's still warm. Then I realized, so I touch him, I look at the machines, and I actually realize, hey, this guy is gone. So you know where I come from, we wail.
Yes.
So default settings, we just start wailing. This is, I see you're already disrupting everyone. So the nurse came, the two nurses came immediately. Both of them were standing on my side. I don't know what they're expecting me to do anyway. So they quickly stand. So she tells me, no, you have to come out. I'm like, no, I'm not coming. I'll just give me time. So I look at him. I'm there. So I cried for a bit. And then now she removed me. So I told her, instead of removing me, just call my friend. So the friend I had come with, and now, the friend I had come with and the friend who had my children both have the same names. So I'm like, call so-and-so. When now so-and-so is being called, it's the other one who comes. So we just entered. We went now back with my friend. We cried a bit now. Then now we just walked out to tell everyone. But now I found my auntie had already arrived with my cousin. another auntie had come. Okay, so many of my relatives were already there. Yeah, and then now my in-laws are also there. So now then when we got to hospital, now it's when it hits them, not them, they started now calling each other when they're at the hospital. But us guys, at least most of my family was there. Yeah.
How did you break the news to the boys?
That was a really difficult one. But one thing I had said, nobody is telling my children, and there's no way the children can walk home and just find many people.
Yes.
So we were in hospital. Okay, we actually spent the better part of the day in hospital, because at that time where he was in hospital, they didn't have a mortuary, and they told us they can only keep the body like for 2 days. So we said, instead of leaving the body there for 2 days, why don't we just transfer it once? And I have an uncle who's a doctor, so he had sorted out the mortuary and everything. So he organized for us. So we went, we transferred the body, left it at the mortuary, and then now we went home. So, okay, I said I'm not going to go home first. I want to go and pick my kids. So I went and I reached my friend's place. So the children came, and I remember we sat down, one on each side. So I was holding them like this, and I just told them this is what has happened. The big one definitely understood, and he started crying. The baby just looked at us, he's wondering, no, the big one is crying. I'm crying, my friend is crying, because I remember I was with my 2 friends, my cousin and the husband. So the only person who's not crying in this whole circle is
the younger son.
No, my younger son and my cousin's husband. So we are there, we are all crying. So we cried for a bit. Then I told them, no, bring your things, we go home, because they'd already been told. So we packed things, and we went home. And then now, you get home, people are already there, everyone is coming in. So for me, it was too much. So I just went upstairs and I sat in the bedroom and I started crying. I remember the youngest was downstairs. He's the one who was telling everyone. Now he's at the gate welcoming the visitors. Telling them, you know what? My brother and my mother are crying because our father is dead, and he laughs. I mean, he just didn't understand. Yeah.
And he laughs.
Yeah, it was so funny. Why are people crying? He just couldn't comprehend. He had never dealt with death.
Yes.
Yeah. But we've always had that journey. I keep telling him, you know what you did. And he tells me, Mom, you're not serious. I was like, you're so young. Yeah.
So as much as you were psychologically prepared, how did you handle now the entire process of burial? And how did you handle it?
One thing I must say, I'm one of the people who God has just given me favor with people. Because my friends were there, my family was there, and they were there 24/7. As in, I even think my family had a rota who sleeps in my house when. As in, I was never alone. At night, there was somebody sleeping in my house. During the day, my auntie was with me 24/7, running errands. One of my friends was also with me all the time. So, and I guess that made that made the burden lighter. Because you're not doing it. In the evening, every time we'd sit down with my cousin and my friend, we are like, my friend and my auntie, we're like, this is what needs to be done tomorrow. So we agree, what time are we meeting? Where are we meeting? So they walked with me the journey. Do you need to go and buy the coffin? This is what you're going to do. What do you need? When somebody dies, I think you need, what do you call it? You need to go to the police to get a burial permit. There's somebody to take you. So there's no one time I can say I was ever alone. There was always somebody who had created time to make sure they're with me. And then also a friend of mine was so instrumental. She spent so much time with my kids. When you're grieving, everyone concentrates on the adult and forgets even the children have lost somebody. And I think because of that, she also made the transition for them much, much easier.
And what are some of the mistakes some visitors or people who came to mourn with you made? Sometimes, like personally, I came to learn the ministry of presence.
Yes.
That one I came to learn later on because at first I never wanted to go because I was like, what do I say?
Yes.
I don't know what to say, so I won't go. Or I go and then I find myself saying the wrong thing. So how should someone mourn with a widow?
Okay, I keep saying it's a very thorny issue.
Yeah.
Because you create very many enemies. Yeah.
While you're mourning.
Yeah, because the widow will get offended. whatever you said, your intention
Yes.
wasn't to say it the way it came. Okay, it comes out. First, I'm very sensitive. And there are things people say, I'll take them personally, but they were not meant to be taken personally. So you end up creating very many enemies. And for me, I keep telling, even when I'm talking to widows, I tell them when somebody comes to your house, just take it that they're coming from a good place. They are not coming to hurt you. Most of us are not malicious.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't know what to say. So for me, one thing I keep saying, please don't pretend you know what I'm going through, because you actually have no idea. You do not have any idea what I'm going through. So don't come and tell me you know what I'm going through.
Even if I'm also a widow.
Even if you're a widow. Even if I go to a widow's house, I don't tell them I know what they're going through. I have no idea what they're going through.
Your cases are different.
Our cases are so different. I dealt with sickness over the years. Somebody else is dealing with an accident.
Yeah.
Somebody else is dealing with somebody who was just sick.
Yeah.
I mean, our cases are so different. Our relationships are so different. So what do I mean I know what you're going through? I have no idea what you're going through. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Please don't even try and tell me I understand. So
if I tell you that I am hurting you.
Yes.
And you have some now resentment towards Rawder, who just came.
And Rawder means well. Rawder is my friend. She has had this has happened.
And I've also had people saying they have a problem with it is well.
Yes.
Because it is not well.
It is not well, by the way. We are believers and we are going to heaven and we believe all those things. For me, I also tell people, one problem is also don't come quoting scripture. There's scripture that can encourage and there's scripture that doesn't encourage. I remember people used to walk into my house and quote Romans 8:28. All things work for the good. Now what good is in this situation? Really? Maybe when I look back, now I can say, I can see the good. But that time, I am not seeing the good. I have been left with a child who's 9 years and another one who's 5. What good is in that situation? So I also tell people, be careful when you're quoting scripture. What are you saying? What are you quoting? Because for me, I say it's better you tell somebody you're praying for them. And if you're also not praying for me, please don't tell me you're praying for me.
So, Rawder, just go and wash dishes. That is way better.
It is so much better. You know, there's a friend of mine I keep seeing. She came to my house. Her work was to wash dishes and make sure we have food.
Wow.
She never used to talk. She used to come straight to the kitchen. She'll go do her dishes, cook. And she's there the whole day. By the time she's leaving in the evening, there's food, there's everything.
Wow.
The other thing I also say, you know, when somebody has lost somebody, you're kind of confused. You don't know whether to call my husband by name.
Yeah.
You know, there's that. Imagine just calling him by name.
Oh, I don't understand.
As in, when you come, you even not only when you come, when you're talking to me, like my husband was called Ronnie. It's okay to refer to Ronnie. You know, don't just say, oh, Jackie, you've lost your husband. You know, even if you remember something about Ronnie, say something about him.
Don't just...
You know, when you're saying that, in my mind, I'm feeling like, you've wiped that person. It's like that person didn't exist. Yeah. So it's okay.
To mention the name.
And then also come and ask me specifically what it is you want me to do. You know, there are times you're offering help that I don't need.
Oh.
Ask me specifically, Jackie, what can I do for you? And you know, there are certain small things that we do that you assume are normal. You know, when you're bereaved, even eating is not normal.
Yeah.
As in, eating takes... I remember I never used to eat. In fact, there's a time I almost fainted. I never used to eat because it's not important. I mean, to you, it's important. I have to eat to get my energy. But me, I'm thinking eating is so much work.
Yeah.
Sitting down, taking a spoon, putting that food in my mouth, chewing. I mean, so those, just to the small things, remind me nicely. If I tell you I can't eat, don't force me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, sometimes what I do, I'll just come to your house, I'll serve food, and I'll just put it there. You eat your 1-2 spoons.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know when I go for bereavement, we're telling me, so-and-so is not eating. They need energy. And I'm like, leave them alone. This is an adult. They've told you they can't eat. They've eaten a spoon. They've eaten 2 spoons. Just leave them alone. Because it's so much work. So, and as you say, for me, I think what works out most is a ministry of presence.
Yeah.
You just come and be there. Let me know that whatever happens, Rawder is there. And when you tell me, Jackie, you can call me at any time. Imagine when I call you at that time. Any time, as you say, please pick the phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
We say anytime and then.
I call you at midnight, you're even wondering, is my house on fire? You know, those are the things. So I kept saying, you say you're sorry for your... okay, acknowledge you're sorry for my loss. Ask me if I want anything to be done for me specifically. Stay connected to me. And when there are times when I say I don't want to talk, but I really mean it. I just don't want to talk. So please don't insist. Because I remember there are days on end, my phone would just ring and I would look at the phone. And I'm not picking. And it's not because of anything. I just don't want to talk. The only person I could not ignore was my mom.
Yeah.
Because she'll call and then talk to me. And then now it becomes an issue. Now she starts calling everyone. I've called, you know. So for her, I would pick. And I tell Lucky, Mom, today I don't feel like talking. But a mother is always a mother. Yeah, she'll still, she'll be like, no, you don't feel like talking. Then 2 hours later, she calls you.
Yeah, do you want to talk now?
Yeah.
Do you feel like talking now?
Yeah.
The memories, like I've had cases of, I used to live with this man in this house. My husband, he's been your husband for 10 years. How do you live in the same house after he's gone?
Okay, for me... I keep telling people the strangest thing. What I had a problem with was a bed.
Oh.
Actually, after my husband died, I bought a new bed. I just couldn't sleep on that bed. I would sleep on my side of the bed, turn, get on this other side, and I'll wake up and I'll not sleep the whole night. Though after that, I've suffered insomnia the longest time. And I didn't even sleep. Yeah, so for me, my issue was the bed. So I actually bought a new bed. Yeah.
Did it make you feel like you are now... I have been in WhatsApp groups for burials, the process, and after someone is buried, we don't want to leave the group because we are feeling like when I leave this group, I am now like I have accepted. Of course, you're supposed to accept, but it's like now I've forgotten. Now I just want to be in that group. Did you feel like maybe buying a new bed, you'd forgotten him, you're doing away with the memories?
No. Because for me, I keep saying, for me, the issue for me was the bed. The issue for my oldest son were the clothes.
Oh.
He would come from school, run upstairs, go to the room, open the wardrobe and start crying.
Oh.
And that went on for a while. So I was like, enough is enough. So one day I just decided to pack his clothes. I wasn't ready to do it, but for the sake
of your child,
of my child, I did that. And I remember that day I don't know who called me, and I was there. I'm in tears. No, she's asking me what has just happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm actually packing his clothes because my son can't stand to see the clothes.
Yeah.
So I packed his clothes. I kept them. Okay, eventually I gave them away. I also removed all his photos because the photos used to disturb me. So I sat down with my kids.
From the wall?
From the walls. We removed all the photos. But they are there. Even today, they know where to get them. The photos, the albums, all of them are Nini. Because my youngest keeps saying, he was very young, keeps saying he can't remember the dad properly. So I keep telling him the photos are there. And that is why we never got rid of the photos. They are for you to remember. What I have never watched and I don't think I'll ever watch was his video.
The burial video.
The burial video. Never have. I don't ever think I'll ever come to a point.
And you have it?
No, I didn't even take it, but my mother-in-law has it. I told her to keep it for the boys if they ever want
in future.
I just couldn't take it. I was like, this is too much.
Like 10 years later, and that's before I jump into this question, I wanted to know if you had counseling for your boys.
No.
You just comforted each other in the house.
We just comforted each other, but that is not to say I advise counseling. If you think you need external help, please, there's nothing wrong
with it.
You go and do your thing. Because I remember for me, there are measures I took into place, though before, I'd actually considered counseling for my children. But I talked to a child psychologist. She asked a few questions and she told me, since you've done ABCD, I don't think your kids need counseling. And they've turned out well. So for me, one thing I know, the day of the burial, the day we went to pick the body from the mortuary, I actually requested, before they put him in the coffin, I want to come in with my children. So I actually went in with my children, a friend of mine, and my husband's friend. And we just sat. And they, because like the youngest didn't understand what death was. So he needed to come to terms with it. So we actually went and we sat, and I told them, if there's anything you want to tell daddy, just say, this is your time. If you want to cry, cry. So we were there for a few minutes. And I kept saying, I don't think there's any child who is too young.
Yeah.
If your spouse dies, if they've lost a father, if they've lost a mother, I think part of the closure is for them to see that body, for them to understand this thing is final, this person is not coming back. That doesn't mean they will not ask you questions. In future. But I'd like to repeat, honestly, if you need help, even you as an adult, if you need help, look for help. Because when you're not whole, there's no way you'll bring up your children. You'll end up going into depression. You might go into depression and die. And who are you leaving the children with? Yeah. So if you need help, by all means, get help.
Did the questions come from your younger son?
The questions came, and some of them were really difficult. I remember, like, we had told him, daddy has gone to heaven, and one day also God will call us to heaven, and we will meet daddy again. So one day, out of the blues, he just comes home from school, and he tells me, hey, Mom, see, God has taken long to call us in heaven. Why isn't God calling us to heaven? We go and meet daddy. So, you sit down and start having a whole conversation. You tell him, no, God just doesn't call us like that. All of us have our time. And I explained to him. But one thing I keep saying, I'm also very grateful for my older son. For some reason, he had a language to explain to his brother.
Wow.
Actually, he's the one who walked him through the grieving process. There are things I would say he would not understand. But when he sits down with his brother, he understands. And he can actually come and explain to you what he has been told. Yeah, but we grieved. We grieved as a family because apparently when I look back now, I lost my job 4 months later. And I really thank God it happened because, for me, I actually took time to mourn. And actually took time to mourn with my children. Because again, you realize when you're planning the burial, you're on autopilot.
Yes.
This has to be done. So it has, you're going through the motions. The coffin has to be bought. Church has to be booked.
You have to do
ABCD has to be done. So do what is happening. We have to raise funds. So you're just there. You're just moving with emotions. But now when you come back and you're settling and oh God, that is what now everything boils down on. Because for me, I say reality sunk in when we came from Shads. I remember I came with my cousin and her husband and they dropped me home. And you're there, you're opening your gate. There's no one to open the gate for you. It is you, your children, and your whatevers, and your luggage. Because I even remember, I was like, I don't even think there's food in the house. So they actually bought for us food. So we came with food. So that time it's just a difficult time. That is when reality. And I remember I just opened the gate, opened the door, and we walked into the sitting room and I sat my children down and I told them, by the way, the reality is from now on, we are just the three of us. And I told them, this is the family. You have to defend each other. I told them we have to have each other's backs.
Yeah.
And that time they are 9 and 5, but let me tell you that has stayed.
Wow.
For them, they know this is family. We always have to have each other's back. None of us can be suffering and the other one is going, so, and I guess my life has basically rotated around my children. Now is when they are older and I'm actually finding I have so much time on my hands because I keep telling people, even used to go for, in fact, most people know me as Mama Boys because I used to say, this is a mobile and this is a handbag.
Yes.
I was always with my children. WM meetings. Those people who say they cannot go for women ministry. CG, you call me to your house to do what?
Yeah.
I'm remembering, I was saying like last year when we had the widows luncheon for the ministry, I remember the speaker said, say what you're grateful for.
Yeah.
And you know what my youngest son said? He just said, I am grateful for my family because we have been brought up in such a way that when you see my mom, just know that two of us are around. Yeah. If you come to church and you see my mom, know my brother and me are somewhere.
Yes.
If you see my brother, know my mom and me are somewhere. We are always just the three of us, apparently. And this is a teenager talking like that.
Yeah.
As in, my firstborn is 21. But if we really need to go somewhere, and I really thank God, He supports, He will come. So we just rotate around each other. It's only nowadays when he tells me, I need to go somewhere, and you're telling him, and he tells me, Mom, you have to give me enough notice.
Yes.
It's not, I also have plans. But as long as I've given him enough notice, he will take
together.
me. Yeah. And I'm truly, truly grateful to God for that. Because I know that's not the story for everyone.
For everyone, especially with teenagers, they don't want to be seen with you.
Yeah.
You talked about over 10 years now.
Yeah.
10 years later, you still can't watch the video of your husband's burial. And many times I hear people, I think it's a not stupid, but silly pressure of moving on. What is moving on for a widow?
First, I hear people are told to move on. You're moving on to what?
To what, yeah.
Let me take my time. We are different. Some of us, so to say, we move on very fast. Some of us don't. But I also say, don't let it, like now, 10 years, like me, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be sitting on this show and crying. You get?
But it's okay to.
No,
there are those who will, even after 20.
Yeah,
remembering
I don't know how to put it. There's a certain way that every time the name is mentioned, you're there crying. That means you haven't healed. And you have to heal.
Yeah.
Okay, the initial stages of first 1-2 years, because you actually don't know yourself. You don't even...
If it was the same year right now, you would be crying.
Yeah. Probably. But I don't think. Okay, maybe probably.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what I was doing that 1 year. But like sometimes, the way you meet somebody and it looks like it happened yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you need to move from that for your own sake and for the sake of your children. Because I know sometimes, of late I keep telling people I'm an emotional bag. There are things you just see and you're crying. And not tears of pain. Sometimes you just cry because of joy.
Yeah.
You're thinking, we should have done this. The other thing I also say, there are plans you had put in place. You had said maybe when we get to 60, when we get to 50, we'll do A, B, C, D. For me, I say, don't let those plans die. Still do them. This other person may not be there. But if it's something you wanted to do, like if you had planned, when we get to this age, we will travel to this country together, please go. Even if it's going by yourself. Okay, I've learned I'm one person who does not have a problem with their own company.
Okay.
I'm those Kenyans who walk into a restaurant, I'm hungry and I eat food alone. I order and I go. So I keep saying, if there are dreams you want to keep alive, keep alive. If you had said we'll do ABCD, we'll build a house, why don't you go ahead and do it? But the other thing I also say is start having your own dreams. When you're married, it's normally couples' goals. They're just family things.
To have become one.
Yeah, when you remove this one, I don't know what to do. Start living again. Start doing things by yourself. Slowly by slowly. If you want to do something, give yourself time. Let me say tomorrow I'll try. I try. But even if I'm not able to do that thing tomorrow, let me not beat myself. Let me come back, reflect, give it a few more days, try again. So for me, I say also start living for yourself. But if there are any things you had said you will do as a couple, please do them. Because for me, one thing I know, I kept saying, when my children grow up, I'll be serving in ministry, I'll travel. At least ministry I have managed.
Yes.
Now is when I am putting plans into place. I'm like, now, I have the freedom.
Yes.
Once the last one gets to uni, nobody's holding me at home. I even have a list of the countries I want to go to. I'm telling people, these are the countries I want to go to. And we start praying that God provides. And I don't know whether I'll get somebody to go with. Some of them I plan to go with my children. Some of them I just plan to go by myself. Yeah.
But now that is you.
Yes. Yeah.
For people who think moving on is getting married again.
By all means. If you've healed enough. And you do not have baggage from the last marriage. And I keep saying definitely you will not forget this person. You cannot put this person in a bag and say they didn't exist. You'll be lying. This person will always have a part in your heart.
In your story.
In your story. But you need to know how to balance these two things. You cannot be talking about so and so all the time and you're in a new marriage. But for me, I encourage, if you find somebody and you're ready and you're compatible, by all means.
Did not the church, the society give you pressure? Have you received any pressure? Now, you should get married again. Or did the men come?
The men come, but Hatem, let me tell you, you're very, let me say you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You can easily make mistakes.
Yes.
Let me tell you, Rhoda, what I decided.
Yes.
I said my children were young. I said I will not have this conversation until they are old enough. When I have seen my children through school, then I'll start having those conversations. Though I have actually even had that conversation with them. Yeah, I told them if somebody comes and I think this person is, I can actually get married again. What is your view?
I would like to know their view.
As at now, my kids are fine. They told me, Mom, if you're ready and you think that's the way you want to head, because my firstborn keeps telling me, Mom, one day I'll leave this out.
All of us will actually leave.
Him at least, he says, because him is older, he's 21.
Yeah.
So he tells me, Mom, by the time I'm finishing, in fact, he had even said, Mom, when I'm in campus, I want to move out. I told him, no, you can't move out. You wait at least, you finish campus. He kept telling me, Mom, imagine if I finish campus, I'll move out. My bro will not be in campus for long, so he'll also move out.
Yeah.
So I keep telling, I know they keep joking, Mom can't stay alone. Mom, and anyway, I thrive when there are people around me. So they keep telling me, now, Mom, you have to find a way. Keep telling me you have to find things you'll do by yourself. So for me, I say, if you're ready, why not? I don't discourage remarriage. But as you're asking me now, the pressure has started coming. Because everyone is like,
I wanted to know. Does it irritate you at times?
No, me, I laugh. I keep telling them, iyo pilau tutakula. When you just come and tell me, Jackie ni aje, I tell them, don't worry, pilau mtakula. So I tell them, and I tell them, as much as you're telling me, you also start praying. You don't start telling me, what are you expecting me to do? Because I tell you, I don't spend my time praying for a husband. I spend my time doing other things. So if you really want to eat that pilau,
pray.
Start praying. Start praying, then we'll eat the pilau.
How has single parenting been?
Single parenting, I can't complain. Because I'm also a believer who says it takes a village to raise a child. But I also say, allow the village to raise your child. The village will not come in if you don't allow them. You have to let people help you, because you can't do everything. I say I have raised boys. I have never been a boy before.
No experience.
And boys can push you. And they know. They know this is where the limit reaches. And they just do two things to see how far mom will go. But I keep saying the experience has been enjoyable. I've really enjoyed raising my kids. I've enjoyed the relationship I have had with them, still have with them.
I want us now to talk about the Nain woman. How did you now end up in that ministry? How did it all begin?
Okay, first, I guess some things God just ordains your step. And I never understood. Because I was a leader of the single parents ministry in our church for 5 years. So that when you get to interact with single parents, you get to interact with everyone, you get to hear their stories. But I realized some of the stories are similar. Society is not very kind to single parents.
Yes. Actually, single mothers. Were men there?
No, there were no men. Men were never there. I remember I told somebody the other day we have single parents who are men. He was so shocked, and it was a man.
They are there, but they will not show up for any fellowship.
And I remember asking him, what happens when the lady goes to the US, gets a green card, and lives you with her children and never comes back? So you're a single parent and you're a man. And I was like, hey, Jackie, are you? She was like, yeah, they're there, but they don't come out. And then your men also don't stay single for long. So my interaction with the single parents, and let me just say single mothers, society is never kind to us. There's always, I think for widows, you give us a leeway.
Yes, for
you assume we kept a marriage, and this marriage ended prematurely. But for somebody who
got a child,
and it didn't work out, or somebody, and I think
even divorced and separated,
and I think we are very harsh to the divorced and separated. And sometimes it's absolutely not your fault.
And just to cut you short, while I was coming for this interview, I met a lady who actually stopped me and told me, Rhoda, you need to interview people who are divorced and separated in church, and I'm willing to come. I'm just like, your number. Yeah, so it's true. We are very harsh.
Yeah, we are very harsh. And sometimes the marriage ends, no fault of yours. If somebody wakes up and packs, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to pack and go with him. You know, so I find it, so I have heard those stories. And for me, single mothers have been very close to my heart. And especially if you're raising a boy.
Oh, yes.
Because I keep saying statistics say, okay, that's in the US. I don't know what the statistics in Kenya are, but I don't think they're very different. Most of the people in jail have been raised by single mothers. And I remember the day I read those statistics, I went down and knelt and I told God, you know what,
not
God,
my sons.
my children are not going to be statistics.
Amen.
My children have to turn out better.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you go somewhere, a child does something, your child will do something, my child will do the same thing. But since you're married,
they will say,
mine will be judged.
This one, it's because
single
mother.
So it's like, for me, I was like, God, there has to be a way out.
Yeah.
We have to have success stories. And you also have to teach these women to believe in themselves, that they can also be a success story in themselves. So for me, that ministry, from that period, it has been very, very close to my heart. But when I really now started The Nain Woman was in 2018. In 2018, a lot of things happened. First, my mom died suddenly in February. So 2018, I remember I was a wreck. And I remember that year, in fact, that year, okay, I'm very interested. I remember I called a friend of mine, and you're very close. I told her, you know, in 2018, I have decided this is the only thing I am going to do. I am going to sit down and feel sorry for myself. So please don't even try to tell me not to feel sorry for myself.
Not encouraging you.
2018 is a year to have a pity party. And my mom, my dad died a year after my husband. I was very close to my dad. I was devastated. But at least the fact that my mom was there. And my mom walked with me. So now, you know, even the day I was called and I'm told my mom died, I remember asking God, the person who prays for us, how do you remove her? How? I mean, I can't even understand you. So I had a very, very difficult time. Just planning the burial, doing this, and then us, we were not born many. We are just two, me and my older brother.
Yeah.
So both of them were so devastated. My bro was so close to my mom, and it was just, so we did the burial, did everything. So I just said, "Dene God, mimi hii mwaka tuelewane tu.
It's a pity party, yeah."
And God, I think sometimes just looks from heaven and laughs. He's like, "Okay, these children of men, I don't even know what I can do with them." And then now that in that 2018 is now when God started just opening some miraculous doors. You're called into positions of leadership that you're even asking this person who is calling you, honestly, what have you seen in me? And even when I'm telling this person, they're calling into a position of leadership, and you're telling her, by the way, I'm not accepting this because this is my year for feeling sorry for myself. And God, you know, and you're going and you're praying, and God is telling you it's time. And God gives me very clearly from the book of Acts, where the apostles were, and the time where people were complaining at some widows were being treated better than the other.
Yes.
And God tells them, pray. They prayed, and then they said, let's choose 7 men. See, you who are full of the Spirit, you know what? And God is telling you this is a ministry. And I'm telling God no. I'm telling God no. You know, by the way, it is not happening.
Yeah.
As in, I don't know what conversation we're having. It's not happening. And I remember even told God, and God keeps, and I think that Acts chapter, I think I had it like 3 times in 1 week. Different people who don't know my story. Somebody talk as there, they start telling you, you know, actually today I was reading the word and it really encouraged me, this story of, and I'm thinking, God, now what is this? So I remember that time I surrendered, and I prayed, and I told God, you know what, God? You're choosing the wrong person. First and foremost, I don't even have the financial muscle.
Yeah.
So, and I am quoting the widows who have the financial muscle, who can actually do that.
Can do it.
Yeah. I'm like, why are you giving?
And what do you do for a living? We skipped that part.
I have worked in admin, I think, for the longest time, though admin is not my training. But yeah, I've worked, actually all positions I've ever gotten in life have been admin.
Okay.
So I can say I'm a self-taught administrator because I didn't go to
So God is calling you to start a ministry, not plug in CTAM's ministry. Now it's Jackie starting a ministry.
Jackie starting a ministry. You have already been given Acts. You have already been given Luke chapter 7. You have been given a name.
Yes, the Nain woman.
The Nain woman. Sasa ujipange. But I'm there, I'm telling God, no, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
One, I don't have that financial muscle.
Yeah.
I'm there telling God, you know, people who start ministries are quiet. Me, I'm an extrovert. I am all over the place. I am loud. I might offend people when I'm, you know. And actually, I had all the reasons why I couldn't do it. And I think God just kept looking at me and he was like, you know, a time is coming.
When you decide, I'll
when
be
you
here.
decide, you got to happen. But I remember one thing I have learned in life. I keep telling God, you know, I can't be a Jonah. Because one thing I've learned with you, you either obey in the belly of the fish or outside. So what's the point of even getting into the belly of the fish and you'll obey? So you just obey when you're outside. So eventually I obeyed. And in 2019, I started now, I was working for a law firm. And you know, God just places you strategically everywhere.
Yes.
I got this girl, a lawyer who did everything for me, research, even to tell me register it as what, for free. So 2019 is when we did.
Are you talking about Anne?
No.
Oh.
Anne
is another story.
Anne is another story. You need to call me for another show for Anne. So this is another lady. She did for me, you know, the groundwork, told me the pros and cons of everything. If you're going this way, this is what you need. So she gave me all the background work. So we just did that. That is how we spent our 2019. So now we have everything. We know what you're supposed to do. We have our name. Now we don't have the money.
Yes.
2020 comes. Lo and behold, the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
So now we are at home. With a lot of time and nothing to do. So now God starts speaking. You know, now you have nothing to do. The only thing you're doing is eating, praying, and going to work occasionally.
Yes.
Because us guys used to work in shifts. I think I used to go to the office twice a week or something. Or is it once a week? So what are you doing the rest of the time? You're at home eating, praying,
and you know, and washing your hands.
Yes, and now when you pray, God starts speaking. So there are now things that now He's downloading. This is the how I want the ministry to be.
Work.
Yeah, I know. You know, you're there. Yeah, ministry. This is how we do ministries. God is telling you, know, your ministry is going to be like this. And actually, my ministry is based on 4 pillars. We have a spiritual pillar, psychological, legal, and financial. So now you know you're being told this is how the spiritual pillar works.
Yes.
So the spiritual pillar, you're supposed to encourage these women spiritually. You call in speakers, you pray with them. This is what you're doing. Psychological pillar.
So spiritual is mostly, you actually do all the, for now I get it.
Yeah, so spiritual, but spiritual mainly is just your spiritual well-being. Because I also say this ministry for me is a tool of evangelism.
Yes.
When I look at it, for me, I say, for me, this is my great commission. You know, you're told the harvest is ready. For me, I keep saying, now this is my harvest field, the widows. So, and that's why I say, I've had the opportunity. Most of the widows have dealt with the born again. But I keep saying, even the ones who are not born again, when they come, the first thing we'll do is to lead them to Christ, and then we walk with them. So for
spiritual, I've also seen many people after losing a husband or someone who's close, they are mad at God. They don't go to church anymore. Now, how do you deal with that?
I also went through that.
Yeah, how did you go through that?
I went through that. I actually didn't go to church for 6 months after losing my husband. And you know me, I'm not somebody we've gotten CG salvation from where. I've been brought up in a Christian home. I have been taught going to church. You know, I joke in my house, I tell my kids, the only 2 compulsory things in this house are school and church. Those are the things you cannot say you cannot go. Any other thing you can say you cannot go and I'll not make noise. But school and church are compulsory in this house. So you have been brought up in that background. Though I got saved later, even my mom got saved later, but we were brought up in the Anglican church. I have gone through all the baptism, I've gone through confirmation, I have gone through, you know, anything that the Anglican church has, we would go. So here you are, and then when my husband died, I was born again. I have served God for so long.
Yeah.
I know God is faithful. I know God answers prayers. But the way this God is dealing with me, I don't like it. You know, that's what I was telling God. Actually, the way you mean you're dealing with me. And actually, at some point, I was feeling like Job. They keep saying to you, people say you want to go to heaven and meet Abraham. Me mean a Job.
Job.
Is the first person I actually want to meet when I get to heaven.
Why?
Because I'm just thinking, before they finished speaking, another report came. And at some point, it was like that.
Yes.
My husband is sick. He dies. I lose my job. Before
lose your
I
dad.
recover, my father has died. Before I recover, I am auctioned. Before I recover, me, I just have story. Yeah, the house we used to live in was actually auctioned because I couldn't pay mortgage. So you see, it's just a series of...
We didn't complete that part. After burial, we jumped. Because I also know that case, you were working.
Yes. I was working in a bank.
But now it's not enough to sustain.
One
source of income is
gone. It remains one. The one that has remained is just taken from you while you watch. Really
the job is gone.
The job is gone.
The two sons are constant. Their needs are constant.
Exactly. These children are in a private school. So I don't know whether it is wisdom or lack of it. I decide not to remove them from that school because God is able. And yeah, actually God was able.
If you were to do it again, would you take them to public?
No. But if I'm to do it again, in fact, nowadays I think I have gotten to a place with God that I think I would have dared more. If I'm to go back again, I would dare more. Yeah.
So the house is auctioned.
Yes, the house is auctioned.
Is the support system, the people who are there coming to your house, still supporting you?
The support system is still there. My family is still there. My friends are still there. Even as we speak now, the support system is still there.
But I can't support you enough to be now paying your mortgage.
Exactly. So now you don't have them. I look at my life, but then I'm actually writing a book. Let's get there. I'm actually writing a book. Because I'm just thinking, sometimes there's a friend of mine who keeps telling me, Jackie, if I didn't know you personally, some of the things you tell me just look like drama. There are things that don't happen to people. So now you're here. The house is auctioned.
Where do we go?
No, that is where we are getting to the story. We are living in a 3-bedroom house in our own compound. Actually, the house is auctioned. You don't have money. You move into a 2-room house. My land,
it was 3-bedroom. Now it's 2 rooms.
And then the landlady is so gracious. Your things are so many, they can't fit. She tells you, I have a shade, you put your things
in that shade.
Yeah. So eventually now you have to start selling off.
Yeah.
When the house is auctioned, my son is in class 8.
Oh, candidate.
When we get the auction notice and we have to move out, it came in August. I remember I'd gotten a temporary job. When you're calling home to check on the kids, that guy calls me and tells him there's no one in the house. I will never forget. It was a week for DVBS.
Yes.
So I tell him, seal that envelope, address it to me, throw it over the gate. We'll get it in the evening. The guy doesn't seal the envelope. My son comes. They've come from DVBS. Opens, reads. He gets shocked. So he comes. No.
You come home.
No, I don't come home. My son is shocked. I think their phone doesn't have credit. He sees he can't send me a please call me. So there was an M-Pesa shop where we used to live. And we had a very good relationship with the M-Pesa guy. My son goes and tells him, I need to call my mom. Mother. Please give me your phone. So he gives him the phone. My son has that letter and he's reading. He's telling me, Mama found this.
Letter.
And it's saying the way we are going to be auctioned.
Yes.
So come September, my mom tells me, the drama in your life is just too much. You need to get peace so that this boy can perform. So my mom tells me the only thing you do, even before the auctioneer come, the way they come, and they're not very kind.
Yes.
So my mom tells me, move out. Whatever you can get, you just move out, at least so that the boy can have a peace of mind to study for his exams. So we actually move out. So when we move out, my bro pays for me rent for 3 months. Until now he pays rent for September through to November. Back up to Amadi's exam. So at least we are assured we have
a place to stay for 3 months.
Whatever happens after that, God knows.
I would like to talk to your sons now. Because I'm thinking you are in this house upstairs.
Yes.
Now you are in a 2-room.
Yes.
With your mother.
Yes.
They have a story to tell.
No, they have a story to tell.
They will tell when they are ready.
Yes, when they are ready, I will make sure you interview them one day. Yeah. So that is a story of your life. But let me tell you.
But even in that 2-bedroom, your children are going to the private school.
2-bedroom wapi.
2-roomed house. Your children are still going to the
You know,
privacy.
for me to make you understand so that you don't call it 2-bedroom.
Again.
Munapika nje, kwanza munaweza choma nyumba mkipika ndani.
Oh.
Imagine it was that bad. Yeah. So, my children...
How are you emotionally? Because I'm just thinking, now it's now that time that I cry even more. Lord, why did you take him?
Emotionally, by the way, apparently I was very okay. I was just...
You are a unique human being.
You know, me, I think sometimes
It's
I
your
say,
God.
whatever is done is done.
Yeah.
And as you say, it was God.
Yeah.
It's not something I would have done by myself. So we are there and we go and we do. And apparently those years, my son performed very, very well. Despite all those turmoils we've had in our life. Yeah.
You've talked about, now I'm moving you back. We were talking about you being angry at God, not going to church for 6 months.
Yeah.
What made you now come back?
My sons.
Oh.
So this is where the story starts. For me, my life, I mean, you know, there's a time you're just being battered left, right, and center. And I guess that is basically the story of my life. I'm one person who tells me, I don't think I get rest long enough. I think there's always something going on. I keep telling God, yani me this thing, you're not done with me yet. As in sijaiva. I mean, for me to be able to do whatever it is you want me to do. So now it comes a point. I was I was angry with God. I was bitter with God.
Yeah.
You can't be doing these things. How are you expecting us to survive?
Yeah, and I have children.
I have children. The needs are the same. I mean, probably if not, probably even more.
More, because they're growing.
Yeah, so we are there. So me just figured a point, and I remember I told God, whether me and you are done. You're not treating me well. I'm not also just, I'm done. I'm not having this conversation. I just don't want anything to do with you. You do your thing, I do my thing. See, you're the God of the earth. This world has 7 billion people. You want people to work for you, tafuta. I mean, it is, because honestly, there's a point I used to feel like God has come into my house to frustrate me. As in haendi. If frustration ikiisha, he brings another and another and another. So it was just that time you're going through the turmoil, you're grieving, and everything is just, my dad has died. I'm not even understanding when my dad had. Okay, fine, my dad was sick. But I'm still not understanding. This sickness was
You
not
could
supposed
have healed him.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and I remember, and I think what even triggered it, my son asked me, how come everyone we love dies?
Oh.
So, you know, it was just, you're in that emotional state, you're not understanding, you don't have answers, you're reading the Bible. And I'm seeing this God is faithful. But why isn't he faithful to me? So that time, I just told God, and then me and you, we are done. So everyone, let's just move on. You move on with your life, me, I move on with my life. And I remember we stayed home. And now my kids, the school they went to is owned by the church. So, you know, that community is small.
Yes.
Shule ni ya kanisa.
Yes.
Watoto wa washirika ndio kuja hiyo shule. So you basically just know each
One
other.
community.
Sunday school ni hiyo. So now, on Monday when people come, they're discussing what happened in Sunday school. Your children are left out. So I remember my oldest son told me, you know, Mom, I understand you don't want to go to church, but I want to go to church. So I'll be going with my brother. You on Sunday, it's okay, you sleep me, I'll take my brother to church. So it happens the first Sunday.
They actually went and left you.
They left me. First, they didn't even call me. So I told them on Saturday night, I told them, tomorrow morning, you wake me up, I make breakfast for you. And then muende. So they didn't wake up. Wakapata mkate kwa fridge, because that time they couldn't cook.
Yeah.
Because I think now the oldest was 10, the other one is 6. So they eat bread. Then they come to knock. Mom, we want money for Jesus. That's what we call offering in our house. To date, even when you are adults, when you're going to church, you ask money for Jesus. So they come asking for money for Jesus. So I wake up, I'm like, my son is like, no, see those bread in the fridge. So we've had breakfast, you're going. So they're like, no, we'll eat when we come back. So the first Sunday he goes to church. Imagine he's made sure the bro has ogad, dressed him kila kitu. They went to church. They leave me sleeping. I wake up at whatever time I wake up. So now I prepare for them lunch, because I'm like, by the time we talk, there's no point of doing breakfast. So they come, they eat. Next Sunday, they go by themselves. Now this time I wake up early, I make sure everything is done. They have breakfast, they go, they leave me in the house. Third Sunday, the same thing. Now when they went to church, I had a meeting with myself. I'm like, the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. I am making these children think church is not important. And then to me that particular time, it wasn't important. I'm like, I'm the same person who tells people, even if you don't believe in God, please take your children to church. I was like, no, God, this has to stop. So I started going, I went back to church. And yeah, I don't know, the transformation just came. We had conversations with God. We sorted out our issues. And immediately I entered into ministry and I just started serving. And I've never left church.
Wow.
And it's just become...
Thank God for your children.
Yeah. And even now, even them, wherever they are, they're in ministry, they're serving in church. And I really, really thank God. But for me, I think it was important for me to go through that phase. Because I told God things. And I was just like, those ones it was real talk. God, this is what I am feeling. This is why I'm annoyed with you. Yeah, and we really had that conversation, and I cried. And I remember that day, I cried and I cried. Those of you having conversations, you cannot even stop crying. And I really, really cried. But when the tears dried up, I was healed. And I just remember I said, this is my life. There's a reason why it is me and not the next person. So God, let me not embarrass you. Let me not put your name to shame.
Yeah.
If you have put me through this for the sake of somebody, let's deal.
Let's deal with it. Oh, spiritually. The Nain woman. So that's why you are firm on spiritual matters.
Very.
We thank God because I'm sure you're still not in that two-roomed house. And your children went back to school. No, children have gone through high school, one of them.
Yeah.
We really thank God for his faithfulness, maybe someone is there right now. They've lost a spouse, and now everything is zero, and they're thinking, will I ever bounce back? You see?
You will bounce back.
Amen.
I totally believe that. And anybody watching, one thing I tell you, you will bounce back. The other thing I believe, your children will be great in the land.
Amen. Amen.
I encourage you to make bold prayers. Sometimes I pray for my children, I get shocked. This is me who is prophesying this for them. But one thing I'm realizing, I was telling somebody a few years ago, like I think about 3 years ago, there are prayers I used to make when my children were very young, 1 year, 2 years. And I prayed them for a very long time. And then I stopped praying. Even when God answered the prayer, I wasn't even in that space to see. It's somebody from church who told me something about my son and my oldest son. And my oldest son is an introvert. The young one is like me. We are extroverts and we get along very well. This other one is quiet. He talks when it's necessary.
Yeah.
So somebody pinpointed something about him. And I was like, really? But and I remember immediately I said, really? The Spirit rebuked me and asked me, Jackie, how long have you prayed for this? Now it is happening, you're asking, really? And I repented immediately. But actually now when I look at my son, the qualities of the things I was praying for are actually there.
Wow.
So when I tell you that your children will be great in the land, I'm not just saying it, because I am seeing it in my own life. The things I have prayed for my children, even sometimes I wonder, are you serious? But yes, God has answered and is still answering those prayers. Yeah.
You've said if someone needs extra help, counseling, therapy, they should go for it even with their children.
Yes.
And for the widows you work with or you talk to, you also advise them the same. Like you connect them to counselors.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Legal. Anytime you talk about a widow, there's always inheritance.
Yes.
There's always drama from the in-laws. I actually talked to one in the recent past where the in-laws just came and took everything and left her like that. And she didn't know what to do. And, coming to Rawder can only pray with you. But legally, you have lawyers who now talk to these widows.
Yes. And one thing people need to understand, even before I talk about the legal pillar, imagine legal is not as expensive as we think. When you tell somebody, talk to a lawyer. Like, all that money, There are actually groups that do things for free.
Yeah.
You can go to FIDA.
Yes.
I know FIDA, we don't take it in a good light, but FIDA is very instrumental.
Yeah.
They will have you represented. There's something called Kituo cha Sheria.
Yeah.
They do. You know, there's those organizations, they're NGOs. And please, I'm not marketing anyone.
Yeah.
I am just directing you.
But
there are those two NGOs that really do
help.
and they help. Yeah. Because, you know, people here, FIDA, you're like, oh, you go say your case. They'll help you. When you don't have money, I think they have concessionary rates. You will pay this kidogo, and actually they represent you in court until the case is over.
Wow.
There's no way they will leave you hanging. So just find out about these institutions.
How you can get legal help.
Yeah, how you can get
right?
get legal help. There are actually institutions that come out for you. And then also the things I've also realized, you actually don't know your rights. And that is why you lose. Because no one has a right to walk into your house and just take things. Even auctioneers give you notice. Auctioneers don't wake up in the morning and tell you whether you have defaulted or your husband defaulted. Auctioneers give you notice. So there are certain things you need to know.
And through these organizations, you can be able to know your rights.
Yeah.
But now someone is mourning. Someone has just lost a husband.
Yeah.
You are crying. You have in-laws who come and take everything. You're not even thinking kituo cha what? You are crying. You said you are operating on autopilot. Like,
yes.
By the time now you discover, oh, I have rights, it's 10 years later.
Let me tell you, we have a running joke that we have with some of the widows who feel that when you're crying, you only cry with one eye.
But you joke with those who have healed.
Yeah, because us guys, now when we look back, we know this thing.
Yeah.
But for me, one thing I've come to realize, what actually makes you lose most of the things, you know, the person who has the ID is normally the person who gets the death certificate and is the person who gets the burial permit. By all means, let me tell you, and I might sound insensitive, but really if I happen to be at the scene when it happens, or I am called immediately when still that confusion is there, the first thing I normally ask, where's your husband's ID? So that you can use it to get the burial permit. Once you have the ID and you get the burial permit, you will use it now to get the death certificate. And you know the person who has the death certificate, you're normally even at letters of administration, so you'll be asked. So what I normally tell people, and I know some people will listen to me whose husbands are not dead, if you can have those documents and have them with somebody you trust. You know, because sometimes some people are so, you know, they have the audacity.
Malicious.
No, okay, the malice is there. But they have the audacity to come and even search your house. I have had widows who have told me people walk into your bedroom and they're there asking for documents for your husband. As you're saying, you're in autopilot, and you're thinking, what's going on?
And then you might also think these people are here to mourn. They are looking for something important to help this process.
Yes. Okay. So if you have somebody you can trust, a friend, a sister, your parents, you know, those are things now you give. You know, I remember in my house, I even used to walk with a handbag. Because it's the one that had the ID. You don't even want to put it down in you know, so those are that's the reality we live in. Because you've already been threatened. As you're saying, those cases of things being taken.
Yeah, because you deal with the widows. I know you know very many who have even lost property.
In my own case, I was told to pack things. As we go to Shags, we go with things. And I'm even wondering, my children are coming to sit where? Yeah, so those are things, you know, it's not stories we hear. For some of us, it's things we've gone through.
And at hey, I don't even have words. After that, you still want my children to call you auntie, to come visit you as grandma.
Yeah. And that is
they saw you carrying the fridge.
And I'm telling you that is where
because it is your son's fridge.
Yes. Okay, supposedly
I need to go with you to see Job. We will go together.
And you're saying it's your son's, supposedly. Because I say, when you're buying things in the house, I don't say this is what I bought.
Yes.
Probably even that
and in some of these houses, it's the women who furnish.
Yeah. And that is where I keep saying, also that is where forgiveness comes in.
Forgiveness. Now,
it's a very difficult pill to swallow, Rawder, but whether you like it or not, you know, these people are their relatives. You know me, I keep joking, I'm related to you by law. That's why you call them in-laws. We went to church, the law allowed us to get married.
But my children are
relatives. Yeah. And we live in a society, you go by your father's name.
Yes.
There's no day you will find my children being called Chessa, because Chessa is my father. My kids are called by their father's name.
Yes.
And even if you ask them, who is your father, they will tell you. So forgiveness has to come in at some point.
And it's for your own good.
It's for your own good.
If you hold on, you will be so bitter.
Yes. And you're annoyed at people who really
So
don't care.
I want you to talk to married people. People who are watching you, and it's husband and wife. We are privileged that now we have a widow who is healed and can even laugh about this right now. But she has the experience. Is it advisable for Rod and Jackson to have this conversation about death?
Yes.
And I should tell my husband now, in case of anything. These are the relatives who should not even... I name them. Okay, I'm just asking, is that a conversation married people should stop avoiding?
I think that's a conversation. You know, let me first before I get there.
You know, we don't like talking about death.
Of course, we are Africans. We don't even want to open.
In fact, if I tell Jackson tonight, I go home and tell Jackson, we need to talk about a will. Unataka kuniua? Are you planning to kill me? Or has God told you anything? You know?
Yeah.
And that conversation will end there.
It will end there.
Talk to us, Jackie. I'm now quiet.
And since we are Christians, let me start biblically.
Yes.
It is written in the Bible. It is appointed for man to die once. So, for sure, one of us will go before the other.
Or we'll go together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another conversation.
That's another conversation on its own. But
when we go together now, our children.
But you know, I keep saying, okay, by the way, as you say, it's very important to write a will. Even when you perceive that you have nothing.
Yes.
Even that 10,000 of yours in the account, it is very important for
in
you to write. If something happens, on our watoto wawili, mmoja achukue 5,000 na wewe mwingine achukue 5,000.
I'm going to use that money as transport, take them to my mother.
Yeah, whatever. It's important to have those conversations. Unfortunately, as Africans, we are brought up, we don't have those conversations. Yeah. It's important to write a will. Very, very important. It is important for people to know what you have and what you don't have. Both assets and liabilities.
Yes.
Not that Jackson is no longer there. Unaletewa sijui yuko na nyumba hujaiona. It is important for people to know.
A debt.
It is important because, you know, they are called financial assets. They have so much money and children are suffering because we don't know what our parents had. So I keep telling people, personally I say I don't have a lot, but there are a lot that I don't have. My children know where it is.
Yes.
Right now, if something happened to you,
there are a lot that you don't have.
Yeah.
Your children are aware.
They're aware
of their lot that you don't have.
Yes, our mother's net worth is this.
Yes.
So kikiumana, this is where we go.
Yeah.
And you know, I am very clear. I have told them this is what is where, this is what is where.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, and I'll repeat, there are a lot that I don't have. These two boys know. And especially my firstborn, because he's 21 and he's an adult.
Yes.
I have told him, if this happens, this is what you will do. Ensure your brother goes through school.
Yes.
As in, for me, I have told him.
Wow.
I know it's too much for a 21-year-old. Lakini sasa nitaambia nani? So we've had those conversations. If this happens, if something happens to me, this is where I'd like to be buried. This is what your mother has. I expect nani akimaliza shule.
Yeah.
So please have those conversations. Let people know your assets and liabilities. Let not auctioneers come and we are wondering, we are being auctioned for what?
For what?
And they actually have proof. So let's have those conversations. It is okay to write a will. Imagine a will doesn't mean you're dying. Yeah. And it is okay to renew your will as, you know, as God blesses you. You can write a will now like me, like Jackie now with nothing she doesn't have. 5 years from now, if God blesses me with something, I will add it to the will.
You update it.
Yeah, you keep updating your will. But please let us have those conversations.
Those conversations as couples.
It is very important. Yes. Nobody is trying to kill the other. Let us just be transparent.
But that is a very awkward conversation. But it's important.
No, it's very
it's
important.
Awkward but important.
God will give you the grace and the wisdom. But I think those are conversations that need to be had. If they are older children, those are conversations people need to understand. Your children need to understand what is there. You know, we bring up our children in a bubble.
Yeah.
They want, we provide. They want to provide. They don't know where it comes
from.
I keep saying it's okay to say you don't have money.
And it's okay to tell them where the money is coming from.
Exactly. Nimesema hiyo conversation hata mushangaa mpaka sometimes I'm sure they even wonder kwani huku will there ever be, you know, because actually I was having a conversation with my son just the other day. It's very interesting. They were planning to do a surprise for their friend. So you know, now they've come up with a budget.
Yes.
So they're like, wherever we are going, everyone buys their own food, and then this is what we are changaring for the cake, and you know, ABCD. Yes. So my son comes and gives me the budget for what now they're supposed to give money. And then now I'm talking about the food. And then he tells me, because he showed me the menu. And then he gives me money for food. I think he told me it's 100 bob, because the chips were going for 100 bob.
Yeah.
So I'm like, 100 bob. And I tell him, you know, I know 3/4 of the time I don't have money.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't eat chicken because I don't have money. Can you go and look at what chicken and chips are on that menu and tell me? So he comes and tells me, and I send him the money. I told him, you know, God also blesses us sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if God doesn't bless me now, but then by the time you're going for this thing, we'll pray and God will provide. Yeah, so it's good. Let the children know.
No.
This is what is there. When there's money, let them know there's money. When there's no money, also let them know there's no money. Because I mean, that's a reality.
Wow.
It's not only widows who don't have money. Even married people, there's a season.
And some widows have money.
Yeah, it's true. There are
you know, sometimes when we look at a widow, sometimes we just think, oh, she doesn't have.
Yes.
Not all
are like that. And I also tell the ones who don't have, it will not always be a season of luck. I mean, even God says, we live in times and seasons.
Yes.
And that applies to everyone. I remember there's a time I wasn't working and I had so much stress. I didn't have rent. And I was talking to this lady. She's a married woman and she used to be my mentor those days. And she comes and tells me, you know, not having rent is not something out of this world. And don't beat yourself up because you don't have rent.
Yeah.
She told me how many married people, in fact, we were sitting in church. She told me in this congregation, do you know how many married people don't have rent?
And there are two.
Yeah. And she told me, it's not like your story is unique. She told me, don't be beating yourself when you don't have something.
Yeah.
Pray. Try and do something about it. So yeah, that's the nature of life.
Does it make you sometimes feel, maybe when you're at your lowest, or during those low moments, like you don't have rent, does it now remind you that you're alone?
No, I've moved from that.
You've moved from that, but there was a season where...
There's a season I would tell God, you know, if he was here.
He was here,
yes.
we would not be here. Okay.
Yeah, but I've moved from that nowadays. I've just come to realize I'm just Jackie like every other one. I just live in this economy, widow or not. Yeah. Financial bill will affect me whether I'm a widow or not. Just the same way it's affecting everyone else in Kenya. So nowadays I learn to do things according to my ability. I don't say, you know, there are times that there are people you will do for them something and say, I know they are doing that because I'm a widow.
Yeah.
And I know I have walked into spaces and when I introduce myself and say I'm a widow, everyone turns, are you sure? And I keep asking people, there are things you don't joke about.
Can I come here and lie that I'm a widow?
Yeah, and I tell them. And
or how are widows supposed to look like?
And I ask them, is it written on my forehead, I'm a widow? And is it written on your forehead, you're married? I mean, it's neither here nor there.
Not there.
So let's not just feel sorry for us. We tackle people the way they come.
They come. So legally, we are talking about the pillars of the Nain woman, her ministry. So legally, with the widows who come to you, you also connect them to lawyers, those who need help with inheritance and things like that. And
we prefer working with Christian lawyers. Because also believe when you're a Christian, you'll not only offer legal.
Yeah.
You'll also, there'll be encouragement to pray. And one thing people need to realize, okay, when you're going through that situation, it looks very bad. But let me tell you, one, you're not the only one going through that situation. Two, that situation will end.
Will end, yeah. It's not permanent.
It's not permanent. Good times are not permanent, but times are not permanent. So for me, I keep saying, what is it you're focusing on? What is it you're focusing? Because it's Second Chronicles, where Jehoshaphat went and prayed to God and said, the army behind me is big, but my eyes are on you. And that's a prayer I make. I go and tell God, today, God, the financial army behind me is very big, but my eyes are on you. It could be a health army. It could be all sorts of things. It could be relationships. But where is your focus? You focus on God. And I think we need to get to a point, you know, like when the 4 Hebrew boys were put in the fire, they said they know that God will save them.
Yes.
But even if he doesn't.
If he doesn't.
Yeah, we need to get to that point.
Wow.
And I think I have gotten to the point in my life where, God, I will go through this storm. But even if you don't remove it, I will survive. I will actually survive this storm.
Yes.
Whether I have to go through it by you removing me from the storm,
or me surviving in the storm.
I think we all need to go through that point, because it's also the same Job who said, will we accept good from God and not the bad?
Yeah, and I have to recommend the lawyers you work with. You gave me one, and she's the best. The Christian lawyers she works with, the Nain woman, they're really good. So if you ever need a lawyer, talk to me. Anne is just awesome. She is so professional. She's so calm.
Yes.
You know, there's a time my husband and I were talking to her, and we were mad. Now this has happened. We were, and then she's like, "Don't worry. Now I'm sending you a document on your email." And like, oh, she's so nice and so professional. And as you said, many times we think about lawyers and you're like, the money. Ask first. You might be shocked. They're very affordable as well.
And then also say your situation.
Yeah, say your situation.
Yeah, because I know I've sent people to her.
Yeah.
They've been told this is the fee.
They've said their situation.
Yeah, and they've been able to negotiate something that they can afford.
Wow. Yeah. So we've talked about pillar number 1, psychological.
No, spiritual
is number 1, psychological number 2, legal.
Number 3.
Financial.
Financial is number 4. Though that one has not picked up yet, but you're trusting God.
Yeah.
Though now what we want to do in the coming days, we also just want, before we get, because we're looking for funding to be able just to, because I'm a strong believer, not to always give fish, to teach people how to fish.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying, because one of my taglines is change the narrative. I'm also thinking now the next thing we need to do, even before we get the funding, we want to start training on financial literacy.
Yes.
You know, once your mind is changed, you don't even need the money from me. You'll just find a way of getting that money and doing your thing. Yeah, so now what we want to concentrate on as we look for funding is just financial literacy. Creating awareness. How do people manage their finances? How does a business manage their finances? Just doing these small things. If I'm in business, how do I do basic bookkeeping? Stuff like that. So that we are able to empower you, because we don't want you to be, you start a business, when we come back 5 years from now, the business is not there for whatever reason. So we need to also empower these ladies financially. Because one thing I honestly believe, and I keep saying, I don't think churches have tapped into widows. You know, that's a gold mine city.
Tell us more.
That is one thing I honestly believe. If you can start a widow's ministry, make sure that these people have healed and they are okay.
And if they're not healed, take them through the process. Hold them through the process.
Yeah, hold them through the process. Because one thing I also challenge the widows I work with, once you're okay, come back, pay it back.
Yeah.
Come back and tell us, oh, I was in this situation, now I am here. The same thing I'm doing. It is because somebody walked with me. It's because of certain widows I met along the way. Yes, the support system has been there, but the support system, most of them are married and still married to date.
Yes.
So there's a widow who came and told me ABCD. There's a widow who told me I was left with the younger children than yours. My children are in universities. I have seen widows invite me for weddings for their children. And I'm thinking, oh, one day I'll be mother of the groom.
Yes.
You know, you look, you look forward to such things.
Yeah.
So I keep telling the widows I work with, pay it back. When you're okay, come back and work with somebody else.
Yes.
And for me, I think once your state of mind is okay, there's nothing you can't do. And as you said, there are widows who have money. If you made sure those widows are healed, where would church projects stop?
When there's money,
you have kingdom financiers sitting here. You're busy
stigmatizing them, calling
they will
them
take people's husbands.
widows.
We've been there for 12 years. We've not taken anybody's husband. So where are you thinking these ones will take? Really?
Whether there's that part.
Yeah, there's that part.
You see a widow, you hold your husband close.
Now I'm talking to you nicely. Jackson comes here, the conversation changes, and I'm wondering, really,
seriously,
I have not wrote up how. There are some things you hear people telling you, and you wonder, surely, if the last 12 years I have not taken any times, I have better things to do than look for your husbands. And if God has given me, mine is somewhere. If God has decided I'll work this Nini alone, that's the journey I'm going to take by myself. After all, he's been the husband for the last 12 years. He'll not stop now.
Wow. Do you have a WhatsApp group? Because I know of your monthly meetings.
Yes.
Like you have monthly physical meetings, or are they on Zoom?
No.
It was during COVID.
Yeah, during COVID we had on Nini. Last year when we had. This year we've not had meetings per se, because now we are having a conference on the 24th of June. We are having a legal clinic coming up in September. So imagine if you know you're a lawyer, pro bono services. We are looking for it.
A legal clinic is coming up. But if someone needs to know, maybe they want to recommend a widow or to plug in as a widow.
Yes.
Or even support, because the conference you're having, there's a budget for it, you know.
Exactly.
When you have these meetings, physical meetings, I see you giving them some tea and at times even a basket.
Yeah.
You did a Christmas basket.
We did a Christmas basket
last year, you know.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to plug in and support, maybe you just feel like, I want to bless the work that Jackie is doing for the widows. I know you are on social media as the Nain Woman.
We also have a
ministry number.
We have a bank account. We're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. All of
on YouTube as well.
Yeah, and all of them.
And I was challenging you. We need these stories. We need these stories. I know on your channel you have a few stories.
Yes.
From your luncheon last year. So we need more stories on widows sharing their stories. You know?
And we'll get
because
to
they encourage. They really encourage other people. I know maybe there's someone who just lost their husband.
Yes.
And looking at you now, they are encouraged.
Yeah.
What about a widow who feels like they don't want to be in a fellowship of other widows?
And there are many who tell me that they can't come for the Widows Fellowship. But I really don't know how else we are able to help you.
Yeah.
Unless you come for the fellowship.
Yes.
That's when you get to know them.
But someone can come and they feel like, no, this is not for me. It's okay.
Yeah, but then if you come and you feel it's not for you, it's okay. Because I also say, we are different.
Yes.
There's probably a time when you're not ready. Yeah. So I also tell people, don't force things.
Yeah.
When you go somewhere and you're feeling, because I keep saying, like a widow, one thing I also say, as you were asking some of the things we would want you to do for us, in the initial stages, okay, just keep inviting, not only in the initial stages. Okay, let me say about the initial stages.
Yeah.
Most of the things you're invited for, you don't go.
Yes.
Chances are you will not go. But also don't stop inviting me. Because there's a time I'll be ready to come.
To come for the
like nowadays, you invite me, I'll come. The other day I was laughing. Somebody goes like, we are having a bridal shower. Are you going to come? So I asked them, what do you want me to talk about? They're like, but you've been married once. I'm like, I've been alone for 12 years. So what do you want me to say?
Do you have something to say?
We laughed about it, but I told them, no, I wasn't going to come. Maybe I will consider. I might. But invite me. Nowadays, I go for bridal showers. I go for baby showers.
Nice.
I go for birthdays, whatever. But
weddings.
Initially, when you invited me, it used to be so difficult.
Yeah, you're calling me for your wedding.
Yeah. How? You know. So one thing I say, just keep inviting us, because our time will come when I'll be okay
ready
to come.
Yeah.
But also don't take it personally. And when you say something, I keep saying follow up. When you say you will call me,
please call.
And sometimes I just say, surprise me.
Yeah.
Walk into my house with shopping.
One day.
Yeah.
With sugar is gold now. Walk in with sugar.
Yeah. And I keep telling people, surprise us. Send me money and tell me today, Jackie, I can just
Valentine's Day.
You know, there's a friend of mine who shocked me one day. She just called me out of the blues and she tells me, Jackie, today I want to treat you.
Wow.
So I ask her, she tells me there's a salon on Kenya Cinema. Go and have anything you want done. So I'm telling her, why didn't you call yesterday? Because my hair, that time I just made my hair. So I should have called me yesterday so that the hair is in the mix. But no, she had my nails and so I did my hands and my whatever. And my toes.
Yeah.
Just told me, imagine. I woke up and they decided I just wanted to spoil you for whatever reason. And she told me, but then hadn't you done your hair, even the hair would have been on me. And you know, I really appreciate it.
I've just even thought about something like Valentine's Day. Like those are the opportunities, the widows in our communities, in our societies, a widow that you know.
Yes.
You can just do something Christmas. Because for 10 years, you're used to your husband maybe bringing you flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's now hitting me.
Yeah,
like, hey,
it's food
Rawder.
for thought. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think which Christmas, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, my cousin calls me and she's like, "What are you doing for Christmas?" I'm like, I think we'll just, we'll keep it low key. I'll just go to church, maybe go buy the boys lunch because I don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
She's like, "No, you go to church, then come to my place."
Imagine.
And she takes us to this amazing hotel in Karen.
Yeah.
And she foots the bill. Me as I'm even talking. No, I'm thinking. I'm telling guys, no, I'm calling my friends. Hey guys, you will not believe
where
the
I
height
am.
of Christmas I had. And when she just did that.
The things that we feel are small are a lot to someone.
So much. Because, sometimes it's like, quote and unquote, it's like you're forgotten.
Yes.
See, your husband has died. I keep telling people, even just sending somebody 100 bob for airtime. Some people just surprise me. There's this lady, and also know she's a widow. One time she just told me, "Hey, okay, I know your ministry, you make a lot of calls." And she sends me 1,500 airtime. So I'm laughing. I call her back. I'm like, "Thank you, but I don't even buy 1,500 for myself." My phone is even shocked. So, just those small two things. Yeah. And even sometimes when you think somebody is able, just surprise them. Buy them a dress.
Some people look able.
No, we say it is a glory of God.
It's the glory of God.
Yeah.
Sometimes you mean 1,000 bob. Rawder must be having money. She won't even feel it. You maybe have saved a whole.
That time we were sent, you go straight to Wangige market. There was nothing in the fridge.
There was nothing in the fridge. You just see Rawder posting, I'm in Wangige.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
even let me just give a testimony of this dress I am wearing.
It's beautiful.
Thank you very much. Let me tell you, there's a time I was broke. And I love clothes. And I remember that day I just went and I told God, God, I've not even bought something new in the house. I think it was 1 year or 6 months. Please. Just money to buy a new dress. Or something. Then I go somewhere. This lady, I was at her leader somewhere. And she told me, she comes and she brought, because that group I was leading, I told them now that the session is over.
Yeah.
I told them to pick names. So I told them the name of the person you picked. So I told them pick names. And then in the WhatsApp group, I told people, just write what it is you like and the colors you like. So now, see, I've picked your name and you don't know. So they were going through the WhatsApp group. They see. So you go and buy that person, whatever it is, a gift. So when she was bringing the gift for this particular person, she told me, "I'm so grateful to God I was in your group for that season. So this gift is for so-and-so, but this gift is yours."
Yes.
I didn't open it until I got home. Tears. I'm like, even my husband knows I need a new dress. Imagine that girl she gave me a dress just like that.
Your God.
You see now the way you're saying that it looks like Rawder doesn't want.
Yes.
You people just see me smart in church. You don't know someone. I was working somebody. Some of them are donations.
Gifts.
Yeah.
But we thank God for what you're doing. I pray that He continue lifting you and giving you the grace for this ministry and to support you, to connect you with the right people.
Amen.
And just grow you in every area. And with your sons, we will come for those weddings. Yes. We are the ones who will go open.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank you so much for your time as
Thank
well.
you for having me.
I've been looking forward to this. And we thank God for this season, even in this show, where we can now just have conversations, anything to do with family, marriage.
Yeah.
We are now going to have those conversations, knowing that we are growing one another as well. So thank you for watching as well, and I'll see you on the next one. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. We've given you details on how you can reach Jackie, so feel free, and you can like her pages as well. That is one way of supporting her. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for watching.
Next on the Rawder Kidula Show.
It was actually 7 years. The day she
7
came,
years.
The day I told her I'm sick, I didn't tell her about cancer. I told her I had surgery. She came to see my wound when I could not lift myself. And she was like, Mom, you don't even have a wound. You will get well. That is the day I was like, thank you, Jesus. You gave me this baby for a reason. Like, she gave me a reason to fight. She gave me a reason to fight. And God had planned that.
Yeah.
Because I had no plans of even having a baby. I was sexually assaulted.
Oh. Caro.
Yep.
The first question that I have when you said that was, does she know?
I told her last year, but last year.
When she was 15?
Yes, when she was 15. I had to.
You had to, before she hears it on some YouTube channel.
Yes, and also we have been having these conversations. We are very good friends.
Oh, that's
We
good.
talk and talk and talk and talk and analyze and analyze and analyze and analyze.
Hey.